Welcome to my channel Exposed-SecretsTales. Your one click means everything to me. Please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. I'm Adrian, the man who thought he knew everything about his life, until the night my wife told me she was going away with a friend. It was a Friday evening. Quiet as always, with the hum of the ceiling fan filling the silence between us. Elena sat across from me at the dinner table. She barely touched her food, pushing the peas around with her fork, her eyes darting anywhere but at me. That was when she said it. "Adrian, I need a break. I'm going away for a few days with a friend." Those words should have been simple, harmless even. Everyone needs a break sometimes. But the way she said them, the tremor in her voice, the way her fingers clutched the edge of her chair, struck something deep inside me. I knew my wife, or at least I thought I did. And nothing about that moment felt ordinary. I managed to smile, though my heart pounded. "Of course you deserve it. Who's the friend?" Her eyes flickered, hesitation clear. Then she answered quickly, almost too quickly. "Just someone from work. You don't know her." The word "her" should have eased me. Instead, it left a trail of unease. Something wasn't right. Elena rarely left home without telling me her full plans. She was not a secretive woman, or she hadn't been before. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling while she packed. I could hear the soft rustle of clothes sliding into her suitcase. I closed my eyes, but each sound pricked me like a needle. Why did it feel like she was slipping away, not just for a few days, but forever? I told myself I trusted her. That marriage was built on trust. But a darker thought crept in. What if this friend was not who she claimed? What if she was hiding something from me? By dawn, I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to sit and wait for her return, drowning in questions. No, I would give her something she didn't expect. I watched her leave that morning. She kissed me quickly, her lips brushing mine like a stranger's. She said she would call me when she reached her friend's place. I stood at the window, watching as the taxi carried her down the street, her figure shrinking into the distance. But I didn't stay home. I grabbed my keys, slid into my car, and followed from a distance. My chest was tight, my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned pale. Every turn she took, I mirrored. Every red light she stopped at, I lingered a few cars behind. Finally, the taxi pulled up outside a quiet little inn at the edge of town. Not a friend's house, not a familiar workplace. An inn. My stomach twisted. She stepped out, looking around cautiously. Then, she pulled out her phone and smiled at the screen, smiled in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. Moments later, a man appeared from the entrance. Tall, broad-shouldered, his face partly hidden by a cap. He walked straight toward her. And then she ran to him, not walked, not waved politely. She ran. And in the soft morning light, I saw her throw her arms around him. My chest burned, my throat tightening as though someone had tied a rope around it. I gripped the steering wheel so hard, it felt like it might snap in my hands. The world blurred for a moment. And yet that single image of her in another man's arms seared into me, sharp and unforgettable. I had followed her here. I had uncovered what she hadn't wanted me to see. But now I had a choice: confront her immediately or watch longer and learn the truth she hadn't spoken. So I opened my car door, stepped out onto the gravel, and walked toward them. She turned, and her eyes widened in horror when she saw me standing there. For a moment, the world stopped. Her arms slipped away from the man, her face drained of color. She whispered my name like a prayer and a curse at the same time. "Adrian." I took a step closer, my voice low but steady, though inside me a storm raged. "So this is your friend?" The man shifted, pulling off his cap. His eyes met mine, calm, unreadable. He didn't flinch, didn't look guilty. He simply stood there, tall and silent, while Elena stammered for words that wouldn't come. Not what you think, she finally managed, her voice trembling. Laughed bitterly, the sound harsher than I intended. Not what I think? Elena, I just watched you run into his arms like you've been waiting your whole life for him. Tell me, how should I think? Her lips parted, but no answer came. The silence between us thickened, pressing down on all three of us. The morning air felt heavy, charged, as if it too was holding its breath. The man finally spoke. His voice was deep, calm, but carried an edge. Maybe we should talk somewhere private. I shot him a look sharp enough to cut. You don't get to suggest anything. Who are you? And why is my wife here with you? Elena's hand reached out, trembling, as if to touch mine. I pulled back. My heart thudded painfully in my chest. Adrian, please, she begged softly. It's not what it looks like. Then. Explain it, I snapped, my control slipping. Right here. Right now. Her eyes filled with tears, her voice breaking. I can't. Not like this. The man shifted closer to her, protectively almost, and the sight of it cut me deeper than any words could. My wife, the woman I had loved, trusted, shared my life with, stood there clinging to a secret so big she couldn't even speak it aloud in front of me. I couldn't breathe. My chest ached, my mind spinning with 1,000 questions and darker answers. Had I been blind all along? Had our marriage been a lie? Adrian, she whispered again, her voice soft, pleading. Please, just go home. I'll come back tonight, and I'll explain everything. Go home? My voice cracked with disbelief. You expect me to walk away after seeing this? She nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. Yes, please. Just trust me one more time. Trust. The word stung. How could I trust her when I had just seen her in another man's arms? Yet even as my anger burned, a part of me, the part still hopelessly in love with her, ached to believe. The man stood silent, watching, as though this was a battle between Elena and me alone. And maybe it was. I stepped back, my legs heavy as stone. Every fiber of my being wanted to drag her away, to demand answers here and now. But something in her eyes, a desperation, a fear, held me frozen. Tonight, I said finally, my voice hard. If you don't tell me the truth tonight, Elena, we're finished. Her sob caught in her throat, and she nodded quickly. Tonight, I promise. I turned, forcing myself back toward my car, every step tearing me apart. I didn't look back. I couldn't, but as I reached for the car door, I caught something in the reflection of the glass. Elena gripping the man's hand, her head lowered, as if leaning on him for strength. And in that instant, I knew the truth. Waiting tonight might not just change my marriage, it might shatter my entire life. The drive home felt endless. My hands clutched the steering wheel, but my mind was elsewhere, lost in a maze of questions. Who was that man? Why did Elena run to him like she belonged in his arms? And why couldn't she just tell me the truth in that moment? The clock ticked, louder than usual, when I finally stepped into the empty house. Every wall seemed to echo with her absence. Her perfume still lingered faintly in the bedroom, a ghost of the woman who had kissed me goodbye that morning, hiding a truth that gnawed at me with every passing second. I paced the floor, restless. Trust her one more time, her words replayed again and again. I had promised myself I would wait until tonight. But waiting felt like poison dripping slowly into my veins. By evening, the silence became unbearable. I kept staring at the door, half hoping, half dreading that she would walk in and give me the answers. I rehearsed what I would say, how I would demand the truth, how I would not let her twist it into another lie. Finally, close to midnight, I heard the faint sound of a key turning in the lock. My chest tightened. The door creaked open, and Elena stepped inside. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen, as if she had been crying all day. She froze when she saw me standing there in the living room, waiting. Elena, I said, my voice steady though my heart raced. It's time. She set her bag down slowly, her hands trembling. She didn't meet my eyes. For a long moment, she just stood there in silence, and I thought she might run away again. But then she lifted her head, and what I saw in her gaze wasn't guilt, it was sorrow. "Adrian," she whispered, "I need you to listen without interrupting. Please." I folded my arms, nodding stiffly. Her breath caught as she began. "The man you saw today, his name is Michael. He's not a stranger. He's someone from my past, someone I never told you about." Her words struck me like a blow. My jaw tightened. "From your past?" "Yes," she said softly. "Long before I met you, Michael and I were together. We were young, reckless, and we thought we could build a life. But things fell apart. I thought it was over forever. Then, a few months ago, he reached out to me again." My stomach knotted, a storm rising in my chest. "And you didn't think to tell me?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't know." "How? I didn't want to hurt you, but Adrian." He came back with something I couldn't ignore. Her voice cracked on the last word, and she covered her face with her hands. I clenched my fists, fighting to keep control. "Something you couldn't ignore? What could possibly be so important that you would hide it from your own husband?" She dropped her hands, her eyes shining with pain. "Because, Adrian, what he brought back wasn't just about him. It was about me. And about us." Her voice lowered to a trembling whisper. "Michael, he's not just someone I used to love. He's the father of a child I never told you about." The words tore through the room like glass shattering on stone. I staggered back a step, the air knocked from my lungs. "A child?" Her tears fell freely now, her body shaking. "Yes, a daughter. She's 14 now. And I never told you because I thought it was behind me. I thought I could bury it. But Michael came back and he wants me to meet her. He wants me to be in her life." The world tilted around me, spinning out of control. All this time, I had thought my worst fear was her falling into another man's arms. But this was something deeper, something I couldn't have prepared for. My wife had a secret family, a daughter I never knew existed. And the man she ran to this morning wasn't just her past lover, he was the father of that hidden child. I stared at her, unable to speak, my heart breaking under the weight of a truth I never imagined. And then she whispered the words that froze my blood completely. "Adrian. She wants to meet me tomorrow, and I want you to come with me." Her words hung in the air like a weight pressing down on my chest. A daughter, 14 years old, hidden from me all this time. My legs felt weak, and I sank onto the couch, staring at her as though she were a stranger. "Elena," I said slowly, my voice trembling with disbelief, "you kept this from me for 14 years?" Her tears streamed down her cheeks as she shook her head. "I didn't keep it from you that long, Adrian. When we met, I thought it was over. Michael was gone, and my parents helped me raise her in secret for a while. But then, she was adopted. I thought I had lost her forever." I blinked, my mind reeling. "Adopted?" "Yes," she whispered, her voice cracking. "My parents believed it was best. I was too young, too broken. They thought giving her away would give her a better life. And then years later, when I built a new life with you, I couldn't bring myself to dig up the past. I wanted to be whole again. I wanted us to be whole." I buried my face in my hands, struggling to breathe. A hidden daughter. An adoption I knew nothing about. And now, suddenly, the past had come, crashing into our present with merciless force. "Elena," I said, looking up at her. "Why now? Why did Michael come back now?" Her lips trembled. "Because she found him. She tracked him down. And then he tracked me down. She wants to meet her mother. She wants to know who I am. And Adrian, I can't turn my back on her, not again." Her words pierced me with both pain and sympathy. I wanted to scream at her for keeping such a secret, but at the same time I saw the raw ache in her eyes. The ache of a mother who had carried guilt, For half her life, and you want me there, I said slowly, my voice rough. Yes, she said quickly, stepping closer. Because you're my husband. Because you're my life now. And if I meet her, I don't want to do it without you. Please, Adrian, I need you. I stared at her, torn in half. Part of me wanted to walk out the door and never look back. To let her drown in the mess she had created. But another part of me, the part that still loved her despite everything new, I couldn't abandon her in this moment. I nodded stiffly. Tomorrow then, I'll go with you. Relief flickered across her face, but it didn't ease the storm in my chest. That night, I lay awake beside her, staring into the darkness, my thoughts racing. Every word she had said circled in my mind, louder and louder, until sleep was impossible. By morning, my heart was heavy with dread. We drove together in silence, the road stretching endlessly ahead. Elena's hands twisted nervously in her lap, her eyes fixed on the horizon. I gripped the wheel, my jaw tight, my mind bracing for whatever waited at the end of this journey. Finally, we pulled into a small park, quiet and green beneath the morning sun. Children's laughter echoed from the playground nearby. And there, sitting on a bench under a tree, was Michael. And beside him, a girl. My chest constricted. She looked up as we approached, tall for her age, with long brown hair and eyes that mirrored Elena's so perfectly, it made my breath catch. There was no doubt. She was Elena's daughter. The girl rose to her feet slowly, clutching the straps of her backpack. Her gaze fixed on Elena, wide and uncertain, like she was staring at a dream come to life. And then she whispered one word that shattered me completely. Mom? The single word hung in the air like a fragile thread, trembling between past and present. Elena's breath caught in her throat. Her hands shook, and for a moment, I thought she might collapse. Yes, she whispered, her voice breaking. Yes, it's me. The girl's eyes filled with tears, though she didn't move at first. She just stared at Elena, searching her face, memorizing every line as though she were trying to piece together a puzzle she had been waiting her whole life to complete. Then, suddenly she stepped forward. Not running, not rushing, just walking carefully, cautiously, until she stood a few feet away. I've seen pictures, the girl said softly, her voice quivering. But I didn't think I'd ever hear you say that. Elena reached out a trembling hand, her lips quivering. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to leave you. I thought I was doing what was best for you. I was wrong. The girl's chin wobbled, and then she stepped into Elena's arms. My wife held her tightly, sobbing into her daughter's hair, as if trying to make up for 14 years of lost time in a single embrace. I stood there frozen, watching them. My heart ached with conflict. Part of me was moved, deeply moved, by the sight of mother and daughter reunited. But another part of me burned with questions. Where did I fit into this? What would happen to us after this day? Michael watched too, his expression unreadable. For a moment, our eyes met. There was no triumph in his gaze, no smugness. Only something heavy, like regret. After what felt like an eternity, Elena pulled back slightly, holding the girl's face in her hands. Your name, she whispered through tears. Tell me your name. The girl's lips curved into the faintest smile. Lila. Elena closed her eyes, repeating it like a prayer. Lila. Hearing the name shook me. This wasn't just a secret of Elena's past anymore. It was flesh and blood, standing right in front of me, eyes so similar to hers it was impossible to deny. Finally, Lila's gaze shifted. She looked at me. Who's he? Her question cut deeper than she realized. Elena wiped her tears, her voice trembling again. This is Adrian. He's my husband. The word hung in the air, thick with meaning. Husband, not father, not stepfather. Just husband. Lila's eyes lingered on me, cautious, measuring. I forced a smile, though my heart pounded. Hello, Lila. It's Nice to meet you. She nodded slightly, polite but distant, and then looked back at Elena. Do you want to see me again? Elena clutched her hands desperately. Yes, more than anything. Leela's face brightened, but then a shadow crossed it. Then, what about him? She glanced at Michael. He wants to be part of my life now, but what about you? Can you all be part of my life together? Her innocent question landed like a blade between us. Elena froze, her eyes darting from me to Michael, torn apart by the impossible weight of it, and I felt something twist deep inside me, because for the first time, I realized this wasn't just about secrets anymore. This was about choices. Choices that could rip our marriage apart or bind us together in ways I wasn't sure I was ready for. Elena squeezed Lila's hands. We'll find a way, she promised, her voice breaking. I promise you, we'll find a way. But as those words left her lips, I knew promises alone wouldn't hold us together. Something was coming, something that would test not just Elena's bond with her daughter, but the very foundation of our marriage. And as Michael stepped closer, his voice low and steady, I felt the storm closing in. We need to talk, all of us. Michael's words hung in the air, heavy and unshakable. Elena stiffened, her hand still clinging to Leela's. I could feel her fear, her hesitation, but the truth was, I wanted answers too. Fine, I said sharply, my voice colder than I intended. Let's talk. We moved to a quiet corner of the park, away from the laughter of children and the sound of swings creaking. The four of us sat at a wooden table under the shade of an old oak tree. The air was still, almost too still, as though even the world around us was holding its breath. Michael's eyes shifted from Elena to me. I didn't come back to ruin your life, Adrian, or your marriage. I came back because of her. He nodded toward Leela, who sat silently between us, her gaze fixed on the table. She deserves to know her mother. She deserves the truth. Elena's hand trembled as she reached across the table, trying to take Leela's. And I want to give her that. I was so afraid. Afraid of hurting Adrian, afraid of losing everything. Her words pierced me, but I couldn't look at her. My eyes were locked on Michael. So what happens now? You just walk back into her life after 14 years and expect everything to fall into place? Michael's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. I don't expect anything easy. But I won't disappear again, not now. Not when she's asked for me. For a moment, silence swallowed us all. I could hear Elena's shaky breaths, the pounding of my own heart, and Leela's quiet voice breaking through at last. I don't care about the past, she whispered. I don't care about who hurt who or why. I just want a family. I've spent my whole life wondering why I wasn't wanted. I don't want to feel that way anymore. Her words were soft, but they struck like thunder. Elena broke into sobs, covering her face with her hands. I stared at Leela, my chest aching. She wasn't asking for explanations. She wasn't demanding blame. She was begging for belonging. Michael leaned forward, his voice firm. She deserves all of us, whether we like it or not. That means me, that means Elena, and that means you, Adrian. I stiffened at the sound of my name. And where exactly do I fit into this? Michael's gaze didn't waver. That's up to you. You can walk away, let Elena and Lila build something without you. Or you can stand beside her. Stand beside them. Be part of this. Not as her father, I know that's not your place, but as the man who loves her mother. His words cut through me, sharp but true. I turned to Elena, who lifted her tear-streaked face to mine. Her eyes pleaded silently, desperately, as though the weight of everything rested on me. Adrian, she whispered, I don't expect you to forgive me easily. I don't even know if you'll ever forgive me, but I love you. I need you, please. Don't walk away from us now. I wanted to scream. I wanted to rage at her for keeping something so life-changing from me. But as I looked at her, broken and trembling, and then at Lila, who watched me with hopeful, uncertain eyes, I felt the anger melt into something else, something deeper. Fear. If I walked away, I'd lose them both. I swallowed hard. I'm not leaving, I said finally, my voice low. But things can't go back to how they were. Too much has changed. Elena nodded quickly, as though clinging to even the faintest thread of hope. We'll figure it out, together. Michael exhaled, his shoulders dropping, and Lila's lips curved into the smallest, most fragile smile. For the first time since yesterday, there was light in her eyes, but deep inside me, the storm still raged. Because though I had chosen to stay, I couldn't shake the question gnawing at me. If secrets this big had been hidden from me once, what else was waiting in the shadows of Elena's past? If secrets this big had been hidden from me once, what else was waiting in the shadows of Elena's past? That question followed me like a ghost long after we left the park. Elena sat beside me in the car, silent, her hands clasped tightly together. I drove without speaking, my thoughts circling endlessly. The reunion had been powerful, yes, but it had also shaken the ground beneath my marriage in ways I wasn't sure could ever be repaired. When we reached home, Elena finally broke the silence. Adrian, thank you. For staying. For not walking away today. I parked the car and turned to her, my voice sharp with the hurt I couldn't hide. Do you think it's that simple, Elena? Do you think just because I didn't walk away, everything is fine? Her eyes filled again. No, I know it's not fine. I know I broke something in us. But Adrian, I swear there's nothing else. No more secrets. Her words should have comforted me, but instead they sparked a deeper unease. I wanted to believe her, but hadn't I already believed once before only to find myself blindsided? That night, sleep refused to come. I lay awake listening to her soft breathing, the quiet of the house pressing in on me. My mind replayed every detail of the last 24 hours, the way she ran into Michael's arms, the way Lila's eyes searched mine, the way Elena begged me to trust her again. And then, somewhere between midnight and dawn, a thought struck me. A dangerous thought. If there were no more secrets, then why had Michael looked at Elena with such familiarity? Why had his eyes held more than just the weight of shared parenthood? The next morning, I couldn't hold it in. Over breakfast, I asked the question that had been burning in me since yesterday. Elena, are you still in love with him? The spoon in her hand clattered against the bowl. She froze, her face pale, her lips parted in shock. I know, she whispered quickly. No, Adrian, I love you. I chose you. Everything I have, everything I am, it's with you. But her hesitation was enough to ignite my doubt. I leaned forward, my voice low and heavy. Then why did you run to him like that? Why did you hold his hand when you thought I wasn't looking? Her eyes brimmed with tears again. Because he's part of something I lost. Because he's tied to Lila. I wasn't running to him. I was running to the life I thought I'd never get back. Adrian, please. Don't twist it into something else. Her explanation was fragile, but it pierced me with a truth I hadn't considered. She wasn't longing for Michael, perhaps. She was longing for her daughter, the piece of herself she had buried all those years. Still, unease lingered. Later that week, Michael called. He wanted another meeting, this time with just the adults, to discuss how to move forward for Lila's sake. Elena insisted we go. Against every instinct in me, I agreed. We met in a quiet cafe, away from familiar eyes. Michael was already there when we arrived, sitting at a corner table. His expression was calm, but his eyes lit up when he saw Elena. Something I noticed instantly, though she pretended not to. I appreciate you both coming, he said, his deep voice steady. Layla needs stability. If she's going to have her mother in her life, we need to make sure it doesn't confuse her or tear her apart. I crossed my arms. And what exactly do you suggest? Michael leaned back, his gaze flicking briefly to Elena. That we build some kind of harmony. That we set aside old wounds for her sake. She doesn't need to see us fighting. She needs to see us working together. His words sounded noble, reasonable. But the way he looked at Elena while he said them, the softness in his eyes, the almost imperceptible smile tugging at his lips ignited the fire in me all over again. When the meeting ended and we stepped outside, I turned to Elena, my voice tight. He still loves you. Don't tell me you didn't see it. Her eyes darted away, her silence louder than any denial, and in that silence, I realized my fear was no longer just about the past she had hidden from me. It was about the present, the possibility that Michael wasn't finished with her, and worse, that a part of her wasn't finished with him either. The drive home from the cafe was silent. Elena sat beside me, her hands clenched tightly in her lap. I wanted her to speak, to deny what I had accused her of, but she didn't, and her silence cut deeper than words ever could. When we pulled into the driveway, I killed the engine but didn't move. The air between us was heavy, almost suffocating. Finally she turned to me, her voice trembling. Adrian, I know what you're thinking, but it's not true. I don't want Michael. Not the way you fear. What I want is my daughter. And I want us. I stared at her, my heart aching. Then why didn't you say anything back there? Why couldn't you just look at me and tell me the truth in front of him? Her eyes filled with tears. Because I was afraid. Afraid that if I said the wrong thing, I'd lose Lila. Afraid that if I pushed too hard, he'd take her away from me again. Don't you see, Adrian? I can't risk losing her, not now that I've found her again. Her words struck me with painful clarity. She was torn, caught between her past and her present, between the man she once knew and the life she had built with me. And in the middle of it all was Lila, an innocent girl who just wanted a family. I leaned back in my seat, closing my eyes. The storm inside me was relentless. But beneath the anger, beneath the jealousy, there was something else, too, something I couldn't ignore. I loved her. Despite the lies, despite the secrets, despite the pain, I still loved her. And if I walked away now, it wouldn't just break her. It would break me too. When I opened my eyes, Elena was watching me, her face pale with fear. Please, she whispered, tell me you're not going to leave me. I reached for her hand, my grip firm though my voice was raw. I should, God knows I should. But I won't, because I meant it when I said I wasn't leaving. Not yet, not unless you give me a reason I can't forgive. Her sob broke into the silence, and she threw her arms around me, clinging to me as if I were her last lifeline. The days that followed were hard. We met Lila again, slowly beginning to weave fragile threads of connection. She was cautious with me at first, but I tried to be kind, tried to show her I wasn't the enemy. And little by little, she opened up. But Michael never truly disappeared. He lingered on the edges, watching, waiting. Every time his eyes met Elena's, I felt the old doubt stirring in me again. And yet, every night when Elena lay beside me, whispering that she loved me, that she chose me, I held on to those words with everything I had, because marriage isn't only built on truth. Sometimes it's built on surviving the lies and choosing, every single day, to stay. The future stretched before us, uncertain and fragile. I didn't know if we could ever erase the shadows of the past. I didn't know if Michael would keep trying to pull her back. I didn't know if my own heart would ever fully trust again. But as I held Elena's hand, and as I saw Lila smile at her mother like sunlight breaking through storm clouds, I realized something important. This story wasn't over. Not for me. Not for her. Not for us. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to begin again.